we're going to talk about scripts. Study them like your life depends on it, because you never know when you're going to need to make a meaningful conversation out of something very casual, and those scripts can be your guardrails to help you make sure that you have now entered into a conversation that you kind of want to know where it's going to go. Usually the outcome is you're going to want to book an appointment with that person to talk more seriously about that, from either the lead call conversation you have on the phone or the casual conversation you're going to have, over the game or whatever the case may be. So if you're new, man, make it a priority. Study the scripts like your life depends on it. What's happening? I'm JC Agajanian, broker associate with the Whistle Realty Group at EXP. And as usual, we are coming to you with the breakdown, the summary of this morning's Monday Morning Mastermind put on by the Fast Forward Network. Group of nearly 1,000 at this point, 800 plus agents jumping on of all backgrounds, team leaders with hundreds of millions in production under their belt, to first-time agents with questions about how to get into production as a new agent. So that's actually one of the first of 3 questions we're going to cover this morning. Again, this is a mastermind format where everyone with something to add speaks up and answers questions specifically for calling on their personal experience and giving them advice on how to move forward from where they're at. So today we're going to cover the first one I mentioned, getting into production as a new agent. What are some of the best first steps to do? We're also going to talk about what it takes to break into the luxury market, whatever that means where you live. We didn't call out a specific price point, but we're talking about breaking into a luxury market, which is going to be moving into a higher price point than you're currently working in. And finally, working your CRM in an efficient manner. So let's get straight into it. Breaking into production as a new agent. So the first thing that somebody spoke to, because a lot of the people in the Fast Forward movement are part of the EXP group, is to get to know EXP world. So there's a whole literal and figurative world of knowledge, information, resources at your fingertips in the metaverse that is EXP world. They also recommended this person sign up for all the Fast Start classes. There's tons of classes that are available both in the world and outside the world. And then study your new CRM that you're going to be working from. Getting to know how that thing operates is vitally important in your business. And with EXP agents, KV Core comes free. It's part of your tech fee. So get to know KV Core well. Now, what we do at the Whistle Realty Group, even though we are part of EXP, is a completely different onboarding process. We have just a full-on system of multiple classes with people teaching and training not only the basics of what we're going to be doing, but also more specifically the types of tech that we are using in our office. We have a pretty extensive tech stack that everyone needs to get up to speed on, even if they're experienced agents when they join the EXP or the Whistle Realty group. And so we have a full month of onboarding. We have intensive classes that take up the majority of the day each day. And it's everything from the basics, like figuring out how you're going to get paid when you close deals and where, accounting is and things like that, to specific tools like, hey, this is really best practices on pulling comps and creating a CRM. And actually, by the way, this is the technology that we use when we make a CRM, because it produces a beautifully printed 4-page stapled booklet instead of a simple printout of a page that is maybe front and back or something like that. So we've got an extensive coursework complete with people running classes, and then agents like myself also taking specific parts of the onboarding process and leading and training on them. So we've got lots of experienced agents across our team volunteering, myself included, to step into the new, almost every month we've got a new group of recruits coming in, training up to learn how to sell real estate in this business. And all of us older agents will take one of the topics, and we're giving our time and we're teaching. So that's how we really make sure that our new agents get trained up in the Whistle Realty Group. But we're not just talking about our team, we're talking about every team across the country and what are the best general practices. Another great tip that someone mentioned that would be applicable to people from any brokerage is to really chunk down your calendar into main categories and just go all in on these areas and fill up your time with things that are going to be focused on these categories. So we talked about coaching, we talked about lead generation, we talked about education, and we talked about admin work. So if you fill your days as a new agent who doesn't actually have business to work on yet with these things, they will help you lead to getting business. Um, the big one that I was kind of waiting for is somebody raised their hand and said, "Hey, let's talk about this sphere." Um, the reason is because the sphere is so powerful. The sphere of influence is something that everybody has, and it's something that will pay you dividends as you go through your professional career because those are people that already like you and trust you. And the better you do at building up your skills and demonstrating competency as a new agent, the more those people that are already in your life are going to trust you and know, hey, I've watched you pay your dues, learn what it takes to do this job well, and now I'm going to actually trust you with that business of my own, or trust you with that business of a referral or of a friend or family or something like that. So we need to go through the process of building out that database. You need a name, a number, an email, and preferably, if you have it, a physical address as well to every person you know. And I mean everyone, not just people you speak to casually or people you want to hang out with on the weekends or people that you see, weekly at church or something, but we're talking about everyone you know. And I kind of felt a little bit convicted when I heard this example brought up because there's plenty of teachers. I got 3 kids, and all 3 kids have multiple teachers, and I'm not having those conversations on a regular basis with these teachers. They know me, and they know that we are putting our all into making sure that our kids have an amazing experience and that we are involved in their school life. But talking professionally is never something we've done. So getting not just most people, but everybody you know into that database. This is going to, like I said, this is going to be the lifeblood of your business for the future. And just, make sure you touch base with them. You want to make phone calls to your sphere of influence list at least 4 times a year, preferably 5 or 6 times. And the big question that most people come up with is, what am I going to say to these people 4 or 5 times a year? Well, if you join a team like the Whistle Realty Group, you're going to know that you've got built-in quarterly events that don't cost you anything, that serve massive value to the people that you love, that you've worked with, that you're friendly with, that you'd like to work with. Really, anybody you know, which is what that sphere of influence is. So things that we do, like in the next few weeks here, we're actually renting out an entire movie theater and we're throwing a free movie for people that we are in contact with. We also do a huge summer barbecue, rent out a big park, and we have, blow ups and prize games and all kinds of stuff, free food, things like that. And we've done other events over the past. We've done Easter egg hunts, and we have a great Christmas event with photos of Santa and cocktails and things like that. So it doesn't really matter what you do. You could have something very basic if you're on your own, you're not part of a team, and just say, hey, I'm getting together with a bunch of people and the first round's on me or something like that. Or it doesn't really matter what you do because the event is secondary to the purpose of that event, which is hitting these 4 calls that we just discussed, right? So make sure you call people at least 4 times a year, maybe 5 or 6 times a year in that sphere of influence database. Hopefully you'll be in a position to offer them something of value. And guess what? When you make phone calls like that, it's only natural for the conversation to move to career. And you happen to be now in the career of real estate as a new agent. And so conversations will move in that direction. Business will result. It just happens. It's a matter of you taking the time, putting it on your calendar, making the phone calls, and just being kind. And you know what? If you need a hack on that conversation as well, the simple thing is, the old Ford, family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. You can follow that, make a script of it, and ask questions along that line. Or if you don't want to even remember that much, just remember that whenever you ask somebody about something in their life, the chances are they're often going to reciprocate a similar question in yours. So, how are things at work? What's new with you? Hey, guess what? You're probably going to get that same type of question back, and then boom, we're talking about real estate. So, that is all very subtle, but very obvious things to do if you've been in the business for any period of time. But if you're new, they're great tips for you. Finally, before we move on to the next topic, we're going to talk about scripts. Study them like your life depends on it, because you never know when you're going to need to make a meaningful conversation out of something very casual, and those scripts can be your guardrails to help you make sure that you have now entered into a conversation that you kind of want to know where it's going to go. Usually the outcome is you're going to want to book an appointment with that person to talk more seriously about that, from either the lead call conversation you have on the phone or the casual conversation you're going to have, over the game or whatever the case may be. So if you're new, man, make it a priority. Study the scripts like your life depends on it, because your financial life just may. So that's it for that. We're going to move on to breaking into the luxury market. I've heard this subject brought up in the past, and we have lots to share on it, but my personal opinion is that it's not very complicated. Let's keep it simple, stupid, and just do the things you would do in any market over in a more expensive neighborhood. So any sort of farming activities, right? That you would do, things like door knocking, things like sending postcards, things like running, social media ads or running Google pay-per-click ads. Most importantly, doing lots of open houses. All of those activities just need to be shifted into a more expensive neighborhood, and all of a sudden you're going to be raising your price point naturally by doing the same things. We don't need to get super intimidated by who the clients may be because they have more money and more expensive homes. It's the same thing, and frankly, a lot of people may be amazingly successful in their field, but they likely don't know anything about real estate, because that's our field. And I've talked to plenty of doctors and lawyers and CEOs who are really good at what they do, but defer to me in the area of real estate because they know that's not their area of expertise. So don't get in your own head about the fact that people are successful and have money. You're still doing the same things. You're still obligated to know what's going on in the market, though. You can't just wing it. You've got to do your homework. But like I said, this is your area of expertise and they've got theirs. So we're going to utilize social media. We're going to provide informative content around this specific area that we're talking about and targeting that has those higher price points, and we're going to be consistent with it. You can't start something and stop it. That's just, you might as well not do it at all. You got to go in and you got to commit to making it happen with whatever cadence you choose. Stick to that cadence and keep it going. Property tours are really popular, especially for super high-end homes. If you can get permission to just cruise in and really talk up an expensive house, those clips are popular on YouTube. Check it out. But you got to become the market expert. You got to figure out who your demographic is, who your buyers are, who your sellers are. You got to speak to their lifestyles. Who are they? What do they do for fun? Is this a second home neighborhood, or is this a primary residence neighborhood? And just really communicate on their level, right? You need to provide information that those people, whoever is living in this area, is going to find informational and helpful or interesting or entertaining. You got to know who your avatar is, right? Or who you're speaking to. And if you're having trouble with social media topics or ideas, there's a couple great resources. First of all, Answer the Public is huge. You can kind of type in, we'll log in and just find out what are popular questions people are asking around certain topics. So that's a great resource. And even dumber than that is go to Google and maybe type in something that you think might be on the radar of your potential client in this neighborhood. An example would be what design trend is going to replace this gray and white thing that we're seeing constantly in 2023 or in the next 5 years or something like that. You plug that in, and Google's going to tell you what they think the answer is, but they're also going to give you a bunch of other questions down below that are kind of related to it. And they're basically telling you people are asking these questions too. So maybe you should make content about those questions while you're at it. Um, but back to knowing your thing and you being the area expert and people having the success of their own, but are in different fields of expertise, we got to learn the inventory. We got to know everything that's in this high-end area that you're focusing on and know it well. You've got to preview properties all the time. You've got to know the market times. You've got to know the players, like which agents are selling the most property, and maybe call them for just with an excuse, just to like have some communication with them, like, hey, I wonder if you had any offers on that property, or why do you think this one's got more market time? Just ask questions about a specific listing as though you have a buyer, just so that you can get in communication, have a reason to talk to that agent, so that if anything ever does come up, you can be like, oh yeah, actually I was talking to so and so and they said this about this property. You're just driving into what is happening in this market, because the people that live in these higher end neighborhoods, they stay pretty in tune. They may not be real estate experts, but they have a decent idea of who's doing what in the neighborhood. So you want to have a really good idea, not just a decent idea of what's going on. So know the houses in that community, do opens there. Once you get those buyers, it's just a big circle, right? So you're doing open houses, you're getting familiar with all the inventory, and then those open houses help you connect with buyers. And then once you have these buyers, it gives you a reason to go back and door knock on sellers and see who might be able to sell a home. And those door knocks could produce more activity as well. So it's just doing the work, but doing the work with a targeted area that has higher price points. So that's the most of it when it comes to breaking into a luxury market. It's not, there's no silver bullet really. It's like anything else in real estate, just a lot of hard work and persistence and commitment to making it happen without starting and then stopping and flaking off and going to doing something else. Okay, our third topic for the day was working in your CRM and making sure that you can efficiently, most importantly, do your lead follow-up, but efficiently work within your CRM. Specifically, I think the question came from a working mom who's clearly going to have her time pulled on by other things around the house with her children and stuff. So first suggestions, hey, let's get at least an hour of true prospecting in each day, and at least an hour of follow-up prospecting. So true prospecting is not follow-up, right? We're talking about reaching out to people that you've never met before or never made contact with before. That's prospecting. There's a great quote. I think it was by a real estate coach, Cheplack. I'm not sure who said this, but the idea that we don't have a time management problem, we have a choice management problem. And I can relate to that myself and feel a little convicted of that. Like, yeah, there's plenty of times where I allow myself to be distracted and not do the thing that I put in my calendar for that period of an hour or a half hour block. And it's not because I didn't manage my time. It's because I'm not sticking to it. That's the choice that he's talking about there. So when we're talking about efficiency in lead follow-up and making use of your CRM, before we even get to the CRM, a lot of it's headspace, a lot of it's calendar management, a lot of it's making sure that we say we want to be efficient. Well, when there's water cooler talk down the hallway, or you're at home and there's stuff that could be cleaned up, and it needs to be done, but it doesn't have to be done now. These are the types of choices. These are the types of decisions we're talking about. We need to be focused. Efficiency will only follow on the commitment that you made to stick to your calendar. So you can have a beautifully lined out calendar and a great CRM that has all your leads dialed in, but if you're not following what you said you're going to do, you're not going to be efficient. You're going to have a lot of wasted time, and you're not going to have the success that you could otherwise. So speaking of dialing in your CRM and having everything categorized appropriately, you have to select some sort of categorization for people that need to be qualified. Maybe you've never talked to ever, people that you've spoken to and need nurturing, and then somebody that you've met and maybe hasn't committed yet, but needs follow-up, and maybe someone that you have met and they've already become a signed listing or a signed buyer broker, and you're moving forwards, because all those different categories are going to need to be reached out at with a completely different cadence, right? So people that you haven't been able to reach yet, you should be hammering those constantly, especially when they first come in. We all have heard the phrase speed to lead. You got to call within the first 5 minutes or less. and you're going to call regularly. That first day, you should call numerous times, 5 or 10 times until you get them, right? And the first time, if they're not answering, call 3 times in a row. Sounds crazy, but if you want to get a hold of them, you got to do it. More importantly, the more time from that lead that comes in going into the future, the less chance you're going to get a hold of them. So keep that in mind when I say you gotta get a hold of them quick. The overall idea is to focus on spending your time first on people that are committed to you, making sure that you are offering value, meeting their needs, supplying education, setting appointments for showings, doing whatever you have to do with those people first. But then we also have to continually be trying to reload that pipeline by doing those phone calls to people that we've never spoken to before. And then the follow-up, the nurtures come in after that, and it all comes together. And that's why we say we got to have an hour of prospecting and an hour of follow-up. So, on that speed to lead conversation and the intensity with which we need to call people in order to get a hold of them, if you're just having difficulty reaching certain leads and you haven't been able to get a hold of that person as they come in, it's interesting because there's been lots of studies on this information, right? And so right when they come in, you're going to have the highest potential to reach them, right? And then it falls off a cliff pretty quickly after 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I mean, it goes down. And then it continues to go down. But new information came in, and I've been doing this a long time, and I never heard this before until today. Around the 30-day mark, for some reason, you're going to have a new opportunity. The contact rate actually goes up 30 days down the road. Maybe they've moved through the purely, research investigations phase, and now they're actually maybe open to talking to someone who will help them do what they're trying to do in real estate. This is speculation. I don't know why, but the data points to people being more accessible on that 30-day mark. So don't give up on them if you haven't reached them in the first week or two. As you get past that 30-day mark and you move into the month and a half, 2 months, 3 months down the road, it really falls off a cliff. And there's virtually no chance of you reaching that person. I mean, it happens. I've done it myself, but it is the exception, not the rule. So at that point, you're going to want to introduce, some sort of drip campaign, text message schedules. If you've got access to an AI text generator where people actually have conversations with a robot, we've got that. It's fantastic. Use that. But the answer rates plummet after a few months. So that's when you're going to want to engage your long-term follow-up plan, whatever that looks like. And hopefully that system will warm someone up again to the point where you can get them to raise hand and maybe be willing to take a phone call or something like that from you. So another great tip that I heard that I just love, I want to implement into my business right away is the concept of the Thursday scheduling mass text, I guess, for lack of a better phrase. So basically, one of the top producers on the mastermind said every Thursday, without fail, he shoots a mass text to everybody in his database that is a buyer and he has not been able to meet with them yet. So maybe he's spoken to them, maybe he's never spoken to them, but they're a buyer in his system, and it's just simply, hey, I'm scheduling out my showing blocks for this weekend coming up. Are there any properties you would like me to set showings for you? That's it. Just like every Thursday, hey, this is what I'm doing. I'm scheduling showings for the weekend. Anything you'd like to see? And it just seems simple. It seems brilliant. And I love the idea that it's happening every Thursday, because that shows that this isn't a salesy thing. This isn't like me trying to push you into go seeing houses. This is just what I do. I schedule showings for my weekends 2 days before the weekend. If you would like to see something, let me know and I'll include you there. And then that seems like a brilliant way to bring people in and take them from a prospect that you haven't really had much contact with, if not any, and turn them into a client who's out looking at homes. So I thought that was a great one. Another tip from the same agent, this is from Stephen Hurd, it was the credibility email. So the idea that after you have a decent call with someone, just send them some info. on your background. Include your professional compliments. What's going to differentiate you from every other realtor that they're going to talk to? If you don't have a lot of that, lean on your team. So you can always leverage a mentor or coworkers successes, or team, like group successes, like the amount of homes we've sold as a whole or something like that, and apply those as credit to you when you're sending out things like this to talk about yourself. So a credibility email after call was another great idea. Another idea for efficiency in working in your CRM was to use a turbo dialer, like a Mojo, which you can do on a single line, or you can make it a triple line dialer, just hammering through phone calls. And you can throw just all your old leads in there and dial them in, and you can get through them real quickly when you use a dialer like that. And the people that answer, you talk to. The people that don't, well, those are old leads, and you're probably going to come back around to them again anyways. And then most important, I mean, this is fundamental, but it's worth mentioning. You've got to make sure that everybody in your database is got a listing alert set up and coming to them with some sort of regularity, whether it's weekly, daily, instantly when new properties come on the market. Select one of them. Ideally, somehow you've got an idea of what they're looking for. So like if you've got a pay-per-click campaign that you haven't, who brought in a lead and you haven't been able to speak to them yet, hopefully well, that person came in because they were looking in this part of town as opposed to this part of town. So I can at least zero in on the area, and maybe pick a general price point to keep it with under. And it's still a real wide filter without too much preferences built in, but at least it's something more similar to, where I live. If I just send somebody any home in San Diego, I mean, that could be an hour and a half away from where they live now. It could be a completely different type of home. So the closer that we can at least narrow it down to maybe a couple zip codes, it's going to be way better. But regardless, even if it's completely wrong and nothing that they're looking for, having some sort of listing alert is going to be better than not. So you've got to have that going on through your site. Because if you're like the only agent not sending them listings, they're going to think, what, does this person not have listings? Or, what is it? Because everybody's got this going on. Furthermore, the chances of them working with you actually goes down by 80% if they're not looking at properties on your site and they're doing it elsewhere. So keep that in mind as well. Finally, on this tip about making the most out of your CRM and your lead gen time is use just a digital newsletter. Send an email out on a weekly basis and give, maybe links to best deals or talk about where the market is headed. Give some sort of information and value with regularity so that people can see that you're not just some hungry salesperson looking to get somebody to say yes and buy or sell with you, but you're actually a professional who is offering value and contributing to their lives. So that's it. That's all I got for now. Our 3 topics, again, we're getting into production as a new agent. We have some great tips for those folks, breaking into that luxury market, and then, of course, working your CRM with efficiency. I hope you found something that's valuable that you can use and implement into your business today. And, of course, as usual, if you've got any questions or would just like to chat about any of this stuff with me, you can DM me right here. Talk to you soon.